Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, July 11th of 2023. Appreciate you all joining me in this video. And how was yesterday for you guys? The first part of the day for me was a little intense just with all the things that were going on. It calmed down, and then it got busy kind of towards the end of the day, and then instead of going to the gym, I came home. But it's just, I don't know, moves and Taurus, and that's just kind of what I was feeling. So yesterday, like I said, was a pretty big day as far as the energies go. Today, a little bit more chill, but we do have some shifting energies still. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Well, as the day begins, you're going to see this moon in Taurus. It is exalted in Taurus. It really likes to be here. So that's very nice. We get this nice energy between the moon and Saturn to start off the day, right? And we also have Mercury, which will move. Actually, it moves into Leo like pretty much overnight, I would say. Like it's if it's not already in Leo by the time me making this video. Let's see. It's 11:30. Mercury will move into Leo pretty much around midnight, like just after midnight here on the East Coast. So if you happen to be up late on the West Coast, you actually be away for when Mercury moves into Leo. But we have like this little bit left. But of course, starting off the day, when you wake up, Mercury will have ingressed into Leo. And guess what? It ingressing into Leo means that it squares the nodes at 0 degrees. So we get the pure form, we get the pure energy of these signs. And of course, Mercury is still coming off of that opposition to Pluto. So we still get that energy kind of continuing into today, except now that Mercury is not in Cancer, it's going to be in Leo. And of course, we have the moon here as well. So making a square over to it as well. So yeah, Mercury and Leo. Now that Mars has gone through the space and Venus is here, is going to be retrograding shortly. Now Mercury has entered into this Leo space, and now we are really going to start communicating from that aspect as well, from the Leo aspect, wanting to really speak about our creative passions and what we love. This is going to be the time to really start to speak that into existence. Mercury got what it needed in Cancer, right? It had to go through all the emotions to kind of like try and figure all that sort of stuff out, which is sort of like imagine trying to speak underwater. Like things get muffled if you ever try to speak underwater. Not only that, but water goes into your mouth and it'll go into your lungs as well, potentially go into your lungs and stuff like that. That's why you can't speak underwater. That's kind of the weird thing about it too. Everything becomes muffled when you try to speak from that aspect, which is why sometimes when we talk about the way that we feel, sometimes it's hard to find the words for it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard to find the words to explain just how we feel. We do the best that we can, you know, but sometimes it's hard to communicate that. Some of you guys are going to find that with Mercury going into Leo, you're going to find this energy to be a little bit easier when it comes to communicating, especially since a lot of it's going to be coming from the heart space. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be coming from the heart space in one of two ways. Either that you trust yourself, you trust love, or you have a distrust in love and you distrust yourself, or maybe you distrust opening up your heart. And I think a lot of us are going through that with Venus and Leo because this is going to be a lesson in wanting us in showing us where to open our heart. And of course, now Mercury is here, and it's going to be doing its best to pretty much speed up and meet up with Venus. It won't meet up with Venus until a little bit later. I can't remember the exact degree, but it is, like I said, still squaring the nodes here. So we have, the planet over the mind, and then you have the nodes here in Taurus and Scorpio. So which way are you going to go? Are you going to go toward like this seemingly enticing, kind of edgy, south node of Scorpio world, or are we going to go towards this like this solid world in Taurus, which may not necessarily be super exciting, but the great thing about this sort of day is that, like I said, we have the moon, which is exalted in Taurus, so we have that nice energy, and then of course it will conjunct Jupiter later on in the day. So once again, we get those energies moving together, in this case, two very positive energies coming together today to really kind of key us in on just finding the excitement in these sort of the simple day-to-day stuff. We have, of course, Mars now here at 0 degrees, which, like I said, it's still going to be trining the north node and sextiling the south node. That aspect will come exact today. We have Athena at 0 degrees. So you see all of this zero energy. Zero, 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 zero. There's a lot of energy that's at this sort of placeholder moment. We're sort of like, in many ways, sort of like in between worlds right now. Like I said, I felt like yesterday was really the beginning of the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Kind of like giving us like a little sneak preview into how the rest of the year is going to go. And now we're in this space where we're leading up to not only the new moon in Cancer, but of course, when the sun comes into Leo and we get that Lion's Gate and we really walk through the portal, it's sort of like, this is sort of like yesterday was, like I said, it's sort of like the beginning of the rest of the year, how it's going to go. It's like now we are kind of walking up to that gate, if you will. We're starting to walk up to the gate, and there's no turning back. There's no turning back at this point. Like it's all steam ahead pretty much here. And while we're walking up to that gate, we have some decisions to make. We're gonna have some things to think about. You know what I'm saying? So we have, like I said, so that moon is going to make the sextile, of course, over to Saturn. Once again, another positive energy here with that moon being in the exalted form of Taurus, where it's wanting to really feel good, just kind of indulge in like the simple pleasures of like the simple pleasures, right? And then, of course, you have Saturn here in Pisces, which is retrograde. Saturn's offline. So there's an opportunity here to really see the beauty and really to see that you can make your dreams a reality. You actually can manifest your dreams, and you can actually receive that into your life. This is at the number of six. Six in numerology is Venus energy. So there's definitely this aspect where we're wanting to receive more, especially with the moon being here in the decan that is ruled by Venus. There's a definite element where it's like we are wanting to receive this beautiful world. We're wanting to receive this manifestation, this thing that we can build. But of course, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. I've been saying that for like the last, I don't know how many of these horoscopes, but it's important to kind of just keep kind of drilling that in, especially now with Mars here at 0 degrees of Virgo. There's definitely this element where it's like, the day-to-day tasks that we take are going to add up and make a huge difference. They will make a huge difference as we continue to just add up. And you have to consider too that this is going to be the last full week where the North Node is in Taurus, right? It's the last week of it. So the North Node will be moving into Aries, and the dispositing energy of the North Node will be Mars, which is in Virgo. So it's going to be like, how do we move things forward when it comes to like this fiery, passionate Aries energy that just really wants to express itself and be bold and stuff like that? Well, it's going to come down to, Mars being, it would be one thing if Mars was in Leo and this happened, but Mars is going to be in Virgo when this shift. Honestly, I think it's just divine timing, because if the North Node had moved into Aries while Mars was still in Leo, let alone at the edge of Leo, and it would have King Kunk's Pluto at the same time, man, like I said, that is a timeline that I'm not envious of being in that timeline. I'm not even gonna lie, because that is a timeline that I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't want to make any like predictions or anything like that. I just know that that's the kind of energy that would really make things pop off. But Mars in Virgo is a little bit more subtle. These are the actions too, especially that like this is when working in the lab, kind of like how I drew the Eight of Pentacles card yesterday. This is kind of like, working in the lab and doing those sort of things, working on the DL a little bit. Not that you can't tell people and share your vision with other people. Not that you can't share your passion and your love for whatever it is that you're building. Not that you can't share that with other people. But Mars in Virgo, while the North Node shifts into Aries, which I said that's going to happen really on Sunday. We have what? We have like, today's Tuesday. So we have like 5 days or so left with this energy. So it's like, utilize this time to really see the value and what it is that you're building, because once this North Node shifts into Aries, you really just have to go for it. It's really a just do it kind of energy. And with Mars being in Virgo, it's not necessarily going to be this energy where everyone's going to be seeing you. The validation that you're going to be seeking is going to come from within. It's going to mostly come from within. Because with it being in Virgo, it's kind of hidden. It's a little bit on the DL. You know what I mean? This is like, you know, a lot of times you have to kind of keep things on the DL, because if you let too many people in and let too many voices and opinions in, it can sway the way that you act. It can sway the decisions that you make, and you can find yourself, being inauthentic, right? So the cool thing about this is that we do have Mercury here, like I said, in Leo. So now it's like this is a great time to really talk about your passions and talk about the heart space, kind of bring those aspects up. You're going to start to see a lot of communications, a lot of conversations going to start to arise around love, especially relationships, especially with Venus here, which is really slow in Leo. And now, of course, Mars and Venus are separating. You know, they're separating. Mars is moving fast and Venus is moving very slow, right? At the very least, we do have this moon in Taurus to anchor us into some sort of understanding, to realize that, we can have sort of like a solid footing. The great thing is, of course, like I said, it will conjunct Jupiter as well. That's going to be a little bit later in the day, about mid-afternoon or so. They will conjunct around 11 degrees. Cool thing is that it also sextiles Juno, which will be pretty much right at 11 degrees, like 10:59. It's like right there too. So again, especially if you are in a relationship right now, you're solid. Like, you're good. Like, unless there are like really bad, terrible red flags that you've been ignoring, any type of weird miscommunications or weird disagreements or arguments that come up in relationships, I promise you, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. If you're single and you're looking, I would definitely just be cautious. Proceed with caution. I said in a previous video to definitely watch out for exes and to not entertain exes. I would say if there's anything like as far as like closure that you might need to have with an ex, I think that will be important. And those conversations might start to come up. Some of you guys might start to see exes really pop up now. And I would say if you're going to engage with the ex, whatever like that, it should be in a way to where you just sort of patch things up and you get the closure that you need if you never got really the closure that you needed, so you can both move on and manifest the partners that you're supposed to have. But you're not, I would say that, like, wait at very least until Venus comes forward. Probably even be better until Venus is out of shadow. But then again, you know, life is interesting and life has an interesting way of working things out, so you have to just kind of go with the flow of the universe and see what presents itself. So I'm not going to say that if you happen to start dating someone while Venus is retrograde, that it's absolutely not going to work. I don't know if it's necessarily the greatest chances of it working, but you just never know, because it's not one size fits all, right? But like I said, we got this nice energy here. And not only that, but this is a manifesting degree. It's 11:11. So there's definitely an energy here to where it's either you're manifesting something, you actually are building something, or at the very least, there are going to be some mass synchronicities around this, which is, I think it's awesome how they also meet up on the 11th. So 11, 11, 11. So bam, definitely pay attention on this day, just throughout the day, but especially like in the afternoon, like around 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to see these energies come to 11 degrees and synchronicities. Pay attention to where you are. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to your thoughts. Whenever I see like these synchronicities that come up like this, it's definitely a good time to kind of pay attention and write things down, jot things down. Take note of how you feel. Take note of what you're thinking. Take note of the conversations that you had. Take note of the environment that you are in at the moment. Take note of all that, because it's actually going to be telling you something very important, and how to really move things forward in a great way. So, and really, as far as like that stuff goes, those are some of like the major things that are going on in the day. Like I said, it's not as intense as it was yesterday, although these energies are still pretty close. I mean, it's still going to be coming off of the square. Mercury's still going to be coming off of the square to the nodes, but we do get some fresh energies. You're starting to feel some things shift too. The sun is going to be, it's at 19 degrees today. It has 11 more days to go until it reaches that Lions Gate. So we're over halfway through Cancer now. It's about to enter into the Decan as ruled by Neptune. So things are really about to get interesting. So like right now, things are pretty emotional, but once it hits Neptune, which is retrograde, mind you, this is like going to be just like just interesting emotional truths that are about to just start coming out. Like I said, Neptune retrograde is actually Neptune's actually awake, not like actually asleep. So Neptune retrograde can be a little cranky. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I'm saying. So just be on the lookout for just that general energy. Anyways, I would do my best to not take things personal because people may just be cranky because of you know maybe they legitimately haven't eaten yet. Maybe maybe they're ruminating on something that happened to them years ago and they may accidentally take it out on you. So it's like this is like an exercise in not taking things too personally this whole Cancer season too, but also can offer a great opportunity for some great healing in these aspects too, because I think we all can use some healing when it comes to that. Cancer is one of the hardest vibrations to master in this world. It's one of the hardest ones to master. So that's why they kind of go through it too, because it's a vibration that we as humanity, if you think about each of these signs as a vibration, Cancer is one of the hardest ones. Like Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, they're a little bit easier to master, right? Cancer is when things really start to get difficult as far as how to master the energy. And honestly, no one not even people who are a sun or Mercury or whatever in these signs, no one has mastered Leo to Pisces. No one has mastered it, right? Where, at least I don't think so, right? So you can get close to mastering these, or you can maybe know more about them and develop them more than other people. But as far as like humanity as a whole, we're really in this area right here. I would say we're like in the first few degrees of Cancer. As far as like we're not even in the second decan. No, we're like in the first decan of Cancer as far as like what we've mastered. So whenever the sun reaches this spot right here, whenever it reaches the second decan, especially the third decan and onwards, whenever it reaches that aspect of the zodiac, that's when things really start to get interesting, right? Because then at that point, there's a lot of different when it comes to our actions and the things that are being revealed. Then a lot of past life stuff starts to come up. A lot of past life karma stuff starts to come up. Why? Because the second decan of Cancer is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is death and rebirth. So this has a lot to do with like different soul contracts, different things that happened in the past. I'm getting deep here, but that's when those sort of things start to come up, and really things start to become slightly more subconscious than they are in these first, three signs, right? That's the interesting thing about it. When you get to Leo, then it's like we definitely don't understand the matters of the heart. That one we're not even there yet. Virgo is a little interesting because it's about reality, which is funny too because it's the same. It's on the same coin as Pisces, which is like the dream world and the etheric realm and the unseen. So it's kind of interesting, but we're still in Cancer season. This is Cancer does rule the chest area too, right? So there's definitely this element where we are still learning this whole thing right here. We're learning the heart, we're learning emotions, we're learning how to utilize the emotional guidance system, if you will, how to it's like we got this part, the survival aspect with Aries, right? And then the building and like kind of like the core foundations of society with Taurus, and then Gemini, of course, is communication and stuff, right? Cancer is emotion. That's like emotion wasn't as useful at one point because we had to survive, right? You know, the only as far as like the only emotion that really matters is like if you felt hungry, but that hunger isn't really necessarily emotion. It's more of like it's more of like a Taurus thing, to be fair, right? So emotion is something that, for at least for the greater part of the last 2,000 years, it's not necessarily something that has been prioritized by humanity. We're now are starting to get to the point where emotion is starting to become a little bit more of a priority and have a little bit more focus. That being said, of course, when these things happen, we're not going to just knock it out of the park on the first swing. No, it's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to experience both extremes and the middle at the same time. So that's what we're experiencing. So with that sun, like I said, it's in this decan. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's going from the 11th decan of the entire zodiac, right? If we start at Aries, it's in the 11th, and it will soon be going to the 12th. So there's another 11 right there. 11, 11 on the 11th decan of the zodiac. See how I found that? You see? So I think today can be a very positive day for just kind of cluing in to seeing where we are. I think it's a positive day for realizing that we can manifest and have those beautiful things in our life and really feel good about it, even in the midst of uncertainty, because there's certainly a lot of uncertainties right now, right? You know, even in the midst of all that uncertainty, we can still find the positive, still find the beautiful things, and still find the things to really be appreciative for and to be thankful for. And like I said, I think having this moon in Taurus is going to be a very positive thing and help us to ground in. And I actually think that Mars in Virgo is going to be a positive thing as well, even though it probably would prefer to be in Leo because it has the fiery energy. Mars in Virgo is like, Mars in Virgo is the one that shows up to the gym like at 5 o'clock in the morning, before everyone else gets there. And Mars is also the one that stays after everyone's done practicing. That's Mars and Virgo. It's like, how committed are you? How about it are you? How committed are you to the routine and putting one step in front of the other? How committed are you to your craft? That's the thing that's going to be about it. So it's funny too, because a lot of times when we think of decisions and commitment, we do think of Capricorn, but a lot of times Capricorn is sort of like, it's the legacy, it's the thing that people see, it's the thing that you kind of put out there. Whereas Virgo is like that day-to-day grind, So Mars being in the sign of the day-to-day grind, it's going to be super powerful for those who are willing to put in the time, work, and effort to make whatever dreams they want come true. So, yeah. Let's see what the cards have to say for today. Let's see what the cards have to say. I haven't used this deck that much. It's like the Cosmic Tarot. So it's like super crisp and everything right now. It's pretty cool. Cards that we have for today. It's interesting, the depiction of this particular one. We have the Seven of Cups, followed by the Prince of Pentacles, so the Page of Pentacles in reverse, right? And then we also have the Ten of Swords in reverse. Yeah, interesting that we get these in. So the only upright card here is the Seven of Cups. Now, what's interesting about this is that it shows this man, and he's almost like bowing down almost, right? And then one of the cups is in the ground. It's like completely in the ground, and it has like I don't know, those are like tentacles coming out of it. One of them has like a rose, and then you have like these seemingly these lovers like in the background, and he's like bowing down to it. I'm getting a couple different interpretations of this, especially along with these two cards in reverse. We may be bowing down to an image that we have in our head of something that we think is going to bring us abundance, when really it's not necessarily going to bring us the abundance that we think it's going to bring us. This also can be this element where we may be almost paralyzed by the amount of choice that we have, and we're finding ourselves in a very non-committal space. Like, we can't make a decision. It's like we look in our closet and we're trying to figure out what we want to wear for the day, and we just can't figure it out. That's why some people do like the minimalist sort of lifestyle, where they really only have a few things to pick from, because it eliminates the computing power to make that decision, right? Now, I think there is power in having options, but also power to just make the choice that day and be like, this is what's going to be best for me today, and to just stand behind that decision and to go for it. So I don't think there's really any need for us to be like bowing down to any type of image because, like I said, this is like a couple in the background. So maybe he's feeling like, oh, it should have been me that she picked, right? Why wasn't it me that she picked? Is like she has all these options and I'm just an option that she casted aside. And some of you guys could be feeling that way. Some of you guys can be feeling like you're one of the cups that someone can pick from and they're not going to pick you. Or maybe they haven't picked you and you're trying to kind of make them pick you. You're trying to make them pick you. You want to be that person for them. You want to be that prince for them. But you got this Ten of Swords instead in reverse, where it's just like, the Ten of Swords in reverse is sort of like, it's sort of like an ending or like some sort of like, the word I heard was calamity, but it doesn't have to be like a major calamity. It's sort of like but let me back up. The Ten of Swords in reverse is like you've already have experienced the sort of backstabbing. You've already have experienced the sort of pain that's coming with, maybe not being chosen or maybe not being picked. You've already have dealt with the pain of it happening. Today is just sort of like almost like a memory of it, if you will. That might be what the 11/11 aspect of the day is. Because there's sort of like you're just sort of getting clued into it. I kind of want to draw one more card just to get a little more. Yeah, I mean, shit, we got the Five of Swords in freaking reverse. So, yeah, whatever it is already happened. So I feel like whatever it is, you already fell for the illusion once. Don't fall for the illusion again. There's no need for you to bow down to any particular image or bow down to any particular idol or thing that you think things should be or whatever it is, whatever you're putting on this sort of pedestal, if you will, there's no need for you to bow down to this energy. This Five of Swords in reverse, especially as just a clarity card overall, is really cluing us into this fact that, you know, there are certain groups and certain people that we wanted to be chosen by and want to have them see our value and stuff like that. And if they're not going to see it, they're not going to see it. This is an element where we just kind of have to move on and just be ourselves and do what we came here to do. There's no point in worrying about spilled milk at this point. There's no point in worrying about whether or not you've been chosen by someone. You know what I mean? So, and some of you guys are the ones that have rejected people too. We all have chosen and we all have rejected. So that's the other part about this. I think the other thing here too is that, like, if someone makes you feel bad for not choosing them, and if it's coming from a place that's lacking love, if it's coming from a place where it's like it's lacking some type of forgiveness, then you really have to just kind of look at them in a sort of loving way, in a caring and compassionate way, and just let them down softly, let them down gently, and just realize that that's just coming from within. They haven't gone within themselves to kind of realize that it is what it is, and it's just time to move on. You know what I mean? I think today is going to be a day of moving on. I think today is going to be a day of just recognizing what we do have and what is working out. Uh-oh. And not and like shoot, like you one door closes, another one opens. You know what I mean? I think that's what this comes down to. One door closes, another one opens. Yeah. Some of you guys are so afraid to love again or to try again or try and have friends again or try and find a good job again or try to do whatever or try to start a business or try to whatever. Some of you guys are so afraid to try again and open up that you will actually rob yourself of an amazing experience potentially. So oracle card for the day. We have passion and pleasure. Savor your life. Passion and pleasure. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a time where if we can really take pleasure in those passions that we have and really those passions that are really going to take us to the next level in life. You know what I mean? The reason why you came here, your soul's mission, if you will, and just appreciate that and love that and find the party in that, find the festival, find the beauty in that aspect, because we all have had our disappointments, we all have had our frustrations and stuff, but we are now getting to a point where we are really, especially since no one alive has ever had Venus fully retrograde in Leo. It's always gone into Virgo and then back into Leo. But unless you were alive over 200 years, unless you were alive like about 200 years ago, no one alive has experienced Venus stopping in Leo and retrograding fully in Leo. So there's definitely a moment where all of us are having to figure out what it means to love, what it means to, really have passion and be creative, and to appreciate those aspects and appreciate children, appreciate youth, appreciate fun and play and the savoring of life. We're all are going through a major lesson as far as that goes. So this is why a lot of people, the millennial generation, just like probably feel like a lot of things have been robbed of them too. I think every generation has that though. Every generation has that. But I know a lot of millennials definitely feel like, they were promised certain things and it just didn't happen the way that they wanted to. You know what I mean? There's an element where it's like, every generation has its challenges, and this is just a unique challenge that everyone alive right now is facing. So take time to appreciate life today and all that it has to offer. In like no like in all of its color and all of its smoothness sometimes and bumps in other areas and all of its dynamic potential. Appreciate and savor life today. Even if you just take 5 to 10 minutes to just go outside, taking some air. That's what I did today. There's like once everything kind of calmed down, I literally walked outside, walked to a tree, touched the tree, did some stretches, and walked back inside. It's what I needed. Take time to like play some music and dance. Just like a little 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be super, super long. You know what I mean? If you happen to be working today. So um, take advantage of the day. Take hold of the day, seize the day. And um, yeah, continue to radiate love. So I don't need to talk about what radiating love actually is because I've had that whole like saying and stuff like that for a bit now, like for several years. Keep moving forward, stay focused, smile often. That's the other one. So, anyways, that's going to do it for this astrology forecast. It went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. So, but because I can easily just ramble. So, I'm not going to stop making content as long as I am, but I am going to actually start integrating some more short content on my channel as well. So you guys will start to see that too. But anyways, that's going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. And if you would like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to jphoenix.com. And as always, I will see you guys on the next video. Y'all take care, stay blessed. Peace out. Sayonara.